Hey folks, about 6 months ago, my main World of Warcraft account that I have had since 2004 was wrongly banned, and at the time of recording, it'll be unbanned in approximately 1 week. So, want to make that clear up front, because this video is not a Blizzard please unban me video. I already made one of those. I made one of those back when it happened, because again, it was a wrongful ban. I know for a fact. I discussed all of the details in that video. I will put a link, but I will quickly go over it in this video as well for anybody who's just stumbling upon this. So the reason I am making this video, despite the fact that my ban ends in less than a week at this point, and I have nothing to gain by making this, is because Blizzard's system is completely fucked for customer support. It is insanely anti-consumer. It is designed from the ground up to protect them from doing any work whatsoever, and it is made impossible to get any traction on getting your ticket appealed unless they make a massive public fuck up and are forced to go through the tickets one by one. I'll provide some examples of this, and even then, it's not perfect. Or if you manage to make a big stink about your situation personally on Twitter or Reddit or something, and it gains traction, and then somebody is actually forced to look into it. If one of those things doesn't happen, you are completely screwed with the current customer support system. You will never meet an actual human, and when you do, they will just stamp it and send it on its way with a template response that they send on every single other ticket. It's disgusting, it's terrible, and it has been my life for the past 6 months dealing with this crap. So I really wanted to make this video for a few months now. I wanted to talk about everything that happened after my initial coverage of getting wrongly banned and all of my appeals that fell on deaf ears and all of the stuff that I've had to go through since then, because I get asked about it a lot. Follow-up, what happened? Did you ever get unbanned? No, obviously. But it's been really difficult actually sitting down and making this video. There have been so many times where I have sat down with a Google Doc open, ready to type out a script for this thing. And I have failed constantly up until this week, at which point I just said this isn't working. If I keep trying to do this, I will never make this video. So apologies, it is completely unscripted. I am going to be rambling a little bit. It is either this or I don't make the video at all. And if you don't want to sit through somebody talk about all the bullshit that they've had to deal with by getting falsely banned, and of course I will be showing on screen as we go examples of all the tickets that I've had to submit, because I want to make sure all of the receipts, all the evidence is right there, everything that I said or did to try and get unbanned, because the end result of all of this, which is the end result of every interaction with Blizzard customer support, is they will accuse you of harassing customer support staff and use that as a justification for banning you further if you try to continue to complain. That is going to be the ultimate conclusion to my saga, as with pretty much everybody else who has tried to deal with Blizzard customer support. And the reason I'm going to put every single ticket up here as the video plays in excruciating detail is to show you that obviously nothing that I did at any point could be construed as harassing customer support unless you just don't know what the word harassment means. I was more than anybody reasonably should be polite throughout all of my interactions. All I did was defend myself justifiably, and if they accused me of doing something that I didn't, I would say, no, sorry, I know that's not true. You can't tell me, and usually, by the way, I'm arguing with bots in all these tickets that you see, of course. I'm arguing with a template response, right? But if the template response says, your account did XYZ thing, I will say politely, no, I know for a fact that this is untrue, and I know that if you actually check the receipts on your end, you would see that this is not true. But of course, nobody actually looks. They just copy and paste templates, right? But I wanted to make sure that in every single ticket, I did at least dispel all of the false things that the previous ticket levied at me. But I always did so in a very, uniform, polite way. But anyways, like I said, rambling a little bit, let's take a step back and quickly summarize the original video. What happened at first? How did I get banned? How long did I get banned for? What were the initial results of the tickets that I covered in that first video? So back in, it was either very end of July or early August, I forget exactly when it was, I received a permanent ban out of nowhere on my main account, and I had to submit a ticket just to find out what was wrong. Now, I waited about 24 hours to even get a response, which I think is crazy for a permaban, especially when with that permaban, they don't give you any reason other than the generic unauthorized use of cheat software, which of course, as somebody who has literally never used a cheat program in my entire life, You can believe me if you want to. I don't know, but I know it's true. So I obviously know that's not true. So I'm like, okay, what happened? Did I get mass reported? What's the deal here? Can I get more details on this? And I had to wait 24 hours, almost, I think it was barely under, to even get in contact with an actual human. And I responded to that, and then I waited another 2-3 days with no response, and that's when I made my video. And the initial response was just a very generic template thing of, this action has been taken in accordance with the blah, 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 and go read our terms of use to understand why you deserve to be banned for cheating. Of course, at this point, I'm like, but I didn't cheat, so what the hell? Can we get somebody to actually look into this and confirm? And now, at this point in time, when I'm making my original video, I am operating under the assumption of like, oh my god, there's been some terrible misunderstanding. Obviously, I know that I haven't cheated. I know that this is a classic infamous Blizzard bot ban. So clearly, if they look into this, if they just actually look at the ticket, they'll see, whoops, our bad. We clearly made a mistake here. We'll undo it. Sorry about that. And I would be mildly annoyed, mildly inconvenienced, because at that point I had lost 3 days of being able to work on my leveling guide, which was the thing that I was currently testing. So, okay, that would suck, but hey, minor speed bump. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get like the 3 days of playtime refunded, but if not, not a big deal. I make the video, and I get a response back from Blizzard, which basically says, again, we aren't doing anything right now, but we will escalate this or something like that. We'll look into it further. And I also was lucky enough to get a response from somebody on Discord, a Blizzard employee who happened to watch some of my videos and actually used my videos as a base to hotfix some stuff. I will see if I can dig up the screenshots of the DMs from back then. I don't know how much effort I realistically want to put into this, because something that I will go into later is that just kind of talking about this makes me feel like shit. This entire situation has just been miserable, and it's kind of one of the reasons why making this video has been so difficult, but I will see if I can find that. If it's easy enough, I'll include it. If it's not easy, then whatever. But Blizzard guy reached out to me over on Discord, basically said, hey, I saw the ping about your video, or the ping about the video about your ban. Is there anything that I can do to help? And I said, well, you know, if you could escalate the ticket, if you could look into it or something. So he said he was going to try and put it like as a priority or something like that. He doesn't work in customer support. He, as I said, was I don't want to say like intern, but like very basic intro level game designer. He was doing basic stuff surrounding Mop Remix. And in particular, I guess this is probably relevant because it's been one of the main things thrown at me as like this is why you deserve to be banned. Around this time is kind of the height of Mop Remix. I had just finished a few weeks earlier my sub 30-minute speedrun, which I put a ton of work into. The video did really well. I got a lot of positive reception on that. And as part of the preparation for that sub 30-minute speedrun, I had to use a glitch to break out of Pandaria. So if you have no idea what Mop Remix is, it was a temporary game mode where you were in Mop and you did, like, everything was accelerated, you ran super fast, you killed things super fast, you gained a ton of experience. So we set up a super fast speedrun, and you were confined within Pandaria, you couldn't go to other continents, it was a limited time game mode like that. But there were little tricks that you could use where you would, like, glitch into a kill plane, and then you would respawn at a graveyard in the Barrens, and then by ghost running and using, like, dungeon, entry stuff, you could resurrect your character anywhere in the world and have a few seconds to interact with mobs. And the important thing about a lot of the tricks that I was showing is none of them required external software. Absolutely none of them. They all required you to just use in-game mechanics in a janky way. And some people have a very loose definition of what is considered an exploit. Anything that goes against what the developers intended is an exploit. Well, two counterpoints to that, right? World of Warcraft has always been rather flexible with exploits, except for very specific circumstances. If it gives you a significant power advantage, like in the game for competitive purposes, like, you know, rating, progression, anything that it, you know, effectively money is on the line, right? They don't like that. So if something increases your character's power for World First races, there have been bans in the past or account rollbacks when people abuse stuff like that. And as somebody who does actively Mythic Raid in World of Warcraft, I never touch any of that. If there's anything that is even remotely dubious as to whether or not this is intended, I do not touch it because I do not want to get my character rolled back or, God forbid, banned before mythic progression. And I've actually raided with people who have done some of that stuff, gotten their account hit with a temporary ban or a rollback, and then I'm sitting there completely safe because I did the grind legit. Great example is the Dream Seeds in patch 10.2. There was an exploit that lets you grind Dream Warden's rep super fast by exploiting Dream Seeds. I had a ton of friends who did that. They all got rolled back. I did it legit. It took me like 20 times longer, but I got to keep all the rep rewards going into the raid, and more relevantly, I didn't get affected at all on my account. However, stuff like this, like glitching out of bounds exploration, people have been doing this forever. Since the days of, glitching into GM Island and Mount Hyjal and stuff like that back in Classic. This has not been something that Blizzard has banned for, and definitely not in recent years. You can hear whispers of, oh, I glitched into GM Island and got banned back in like 2006 or something like that. I can't speak to that particular case. I know GM Island was finicky because it actually had Blizzard use back then, but any other out-of-bounds areas have never, ever been off limits. Just want to make that clear, because some people think that is the reason that I got banned, which, as I will go over, isn't even the reason stated in the ticket why I got banned, right? They claim it's because I used cheat software. That is not cheat software. There is literally a category for exploits that it would be under if that was the reason. That, and quite literally, the person who messaged me from Blizzard on Discord was the guy watching my videos on those out-of-bounds exploits who designed those systems and then fixed them by finding out how I got around his, implementations of keeping people in Pandaria and then plugging those holes. So we used something where you had a few seconds of time to interact with an NPC because the teleport that sent you back to Pandaria wasn't instant. Well, after watching my video, within days, he put in a secondary teleport that within 0.5 seconds of you leaving Pandaria would just insta-boot you with no warning. And people actually found workarounds for that, which I then didn't make a video about, now that I knew, okay, a Blizzard developer is literally watching my videos and telling me about it and saying that he's fixing everything that I make. So that was fun. But at the very least, this guy, I have it on record, told me that he enjoyed watching my videos and fixing the stuff that I found. So not only was this not the thing that I got banned for, not only would this never be a thing that you can get banned for, because it has never been against the terms of service, but the guy who, at Blizzard, literally hotfixed the thing that I discovered, the exploit, with heavy air quotes, that I discovered, told me that he thought it was fun trying to fix that stuff. So just want to make that clear, because when I made my original video, I was bombarded with people telling me that I deserved it because of the whole mop remix stuff. I think most people who have a reasonable understanding of how World of Warcraft handles this stuff know that not only is that just never going to be the case, but also that's not even the stated reason of the ticket. But I wanted to bring it up again here because I think it adds to the entire story, right? I have to deal with people accusing me of deserving the ban for these reasons that are obviously bullshit, and I know it's obviously bullshit, but I can't fight every single one of them. So that's some backstory there. So I thought maybe it could be that at first. I had no idea. But I know for a fact that I didn't cheat, and I know that the ban specifically states cheat software, and the only other thing to this day that I still think it could be, and I suspect this is what it is I did a lot of very passive AFK farming to increase my thread count in Mop Remix. And there's a lot of bots at those farms, because if it's something that can be mostly AFK'd, yeah, you're gonna have people who bot it. The difference here, of course, is you would hope that it is easy enough for Blizzard to tell the difference between somebody mashing one button on their keyboard for 30 minutes and somebody who is obviously using a bot script. There should be ways to detect, if it's not going to be perfect, right? But there is obviously a cadence to a bot's interactions where, jokingly, when I was grinding Archerius Aflame, we had a Boomkin bot, a very obvious Boomkin bot, who was spamming Moonfire. So to trip him up, we surrounded him with turnip punching bags, and he was just tab Moonfiring the punching bags at regular intervals. Tab Moonfire, tab Moonfire, tab Moonfire. I mean, that's obviously a very bad bot, a very obvious one, but you would hope that it's easy enough to tell the difference between that and me every 5 minutes when I hear the whoosh sound effect for Archerius of Flame spawning. I tab back into World of Warcraft, I mash Fellblade as he's spawning, tag him with Fellblade, and then he dies and I get credit. Or as I was sitting here recording a rambly outro for a Cataclysm leveling run that I did at the time, I was sitting in the Silver Covenant, I think they're called, sanctuary town on Isle of Thunder, and there was an infinite respawn for portal mages where you could just sit there and kill them over and over. It was by no means the most efficient thread farm, but because it was a hyperspawn, and I only needed to sit in one place and press Immolation Aura over and over, as I'm sitting here doing one of these, where right now as I record this, I'm literally staring at my wall, not doing anything, I can sit here, press one button, endlessly kill those mobs, and voila, I get free threads at the end. Every now and then, walk over, loot, auto-loot all the threads into my inventory, bam. And that is quite literally how the game mode was designed, and should go without saying that by mindlessly farming something, you are definitely not breaking World of Warcraft's terms of service. That has been the intended way to play the game since vanilla. So you would hope that a game that has always been built around mindlessly farming mobs has some checks in place to tell the difference between, oh, is this guy just pressing one button in a game mode where it only requires a single button press to kill anything because your stats are so overpowered, or is it actually a bot? I am assuming that one of those two got me mass reported by people who are too stupid to realize that I wasn't a bot, and then the automated system hit me with that, and then Blizzard did absolutely zero checks after the fact, and I ended up eating a ban because of an automated mass report ban. I'm guessing that's what it is because there is no other reasonable explanation, and I will go over some of the other explanations thrown at me over time and debunk them as to why that is not possible, especially with hindsight now. We know that some of the theories people posited are not possible because I haven't received bans in after the fact. But fast forward a little bit. I don't know if I've already shown some of these tickets on screen. I'm not going to, walk through them step by step and show them exactly as I talk about them. I'm just going to show them in sequential order on screen. Just the receipts are there if anybody wants to pause and read through it all. But I got the response back from that initial ticket. They said they're upholding it, but because I don't remember the exact wording they used, but it was basically like we're upholding it, but we're going to be nice and reduce the permanent ban, which I don't know if I mentioned that. It was originally a permanent ban, which I think any automated permanent ban in this game is insane. And if they do that, they need to give you some sort of, area to appeal it reliably and not this garbage. But they said, we'll reduce it to 6 months because we're so generous, basically. And of course, that's not good enough for me. I need my account back. I have videos I need to make. I have characters on here that are mythic geared that I need for the next expansion because I'm on a mythic raid team. I'm the tank. I can't just lose my characters, right? Thankfully, we were still a month out from the War Within at this point, but this was really bad for me. So I needed to get this fixed ASAP. And at this point, I'm still operating under the assumption that it is something I can get fixed. It's just a matter of streaming loud enough. The one thing I didn't do, which some people recommended, is make a Reddit post, because making a Reddit post about getting banned 99% of the time is suicide. You're going to get immediately downvoted. A bunch of people are going to dogpile you and just say, get fucked, cheater, you deserve it. And frankly, I'm sure that a lot of the posts on there are people who have actually cheated, because I think people like me are at least aware enough to know that we're not going to get any genuine feedback from Blizzard by making a post on Reddit, or any actual sympathy, unless I have some sort of detailed receipts to prove that I didn't do the thing I'm accused of. But that has been the recurring issue throughout all of this. I do not know what I am accused of, therefore I cannot provide evidence to show that I am innocent of whatever it is they're accusing me of. Because if they just continually, throughout all of these tickets, generically state, you use cheat software, but refuse to say it was this program, that program, and say, oh, well, it's because cheat developers, if those pesky cheat developers figure out that we know what they're using, it'll be easier for them to avoid our detection, which I can kind of sympathize with a little bit. But also, let's be honest here, it's not like Blizzard is the shining pinnacle of anti-botting company, right? They have tons of bots running rampant in every single version of the game. I don't think anybody would disagree with me here. It's pretty obvious that they are really bad at handling the situation, no matter how many times they say, actually, we banned X amount of bots. Okay, whatever. If we can still see them running around nonstop in the game, you're not doing a good job at it. So if that's still a clear issue in this game, and they're using that as an excuse to fuck over any actual players who are trying to go through their appeal system, I'm sorry, but the real players who want to have at least some transparency in terms of what they got banned for outweigh the small decrease to your botting problem, which is already beyond saving at this point, if you can't do it already with all the resources you've been given. So that has been frustrating. And after routinely submitting ticket after ticket, or appeal after appeal on that ticket, trying to just get more information, I was just repeatedly stonewalled. They would just say, hey, we already answered you, fuck off. Hey, we already answered you, fuck off. And every single one of these responses came after like 3 days. Well, I think one time I waited an entire 6 days just to be told, we already reviewed this, fuck off, and then they closed the ticket. Obviously, they didn't literally say fuck off. I'm paraphrasing. You can see they didn't say fuck off, so I'm not trying to mislead you there. But they did say, we already reviewed your ticket, please stop submitting it, we're not going to change it. But I don't really know what Blizzard expects people to do here, because if I know that I'm innocent, telling me, hey, sorry, we already found you guilty of a crime you did not commit, isn't going to magically make me say, well, sure, okay, Blizzard, I guess I'm just going to stop proclaiming my innocence then. You got me. I'm totally guilty. I give up now. I guess maybe they're hoping people will just resign in frustration and say, fuck it, I guess I just won't submit more tickets. I won't make this poor, overworked support staff person who has never paid any attention to my issue whatsoever his life a little bit harder by submitting yet another ticket that they have to copy paste the response to and then, decline it. I guess I'm just not going to submit another appeal. But of course, I didn't do that, right? I kept submitting appeals endlessly. And this gets to the part of kind of my main frustration and the title of this video, right? Because I'm probably going to title this something clickbaity, like, Blizzard threatened me into silence is kind of the working one that I have, which is true, honestly. It is a clickbaity version of the truth, but it is the truth. Because after that 6-day waiting period of just radio silence from Blizzard, and as time goes on, right, my panic is starting to mount. We're getting closer and closer to the release of The War Within. At this point, I've already had to make a second account and start leveling up characters to potentially replace the characters that I've lost, because again, I am the main tank on a Mythic Raid team. If I'm banned, we're fucked. They have to recruit a new tank, and guess what? Recruiting a new tank weeks before the start of a new tier ain't that easy. Not to mention, I like raiding. I really enjoy Mythic raiding. I don't want to miss out on the first tier of a new expansion because Blizzard completely screwed me over. And I also had a lot of videos I needed to make. I had a leveling guide I needed to finish. Guess what? That leveling guide never got finished. I've had that leveling guide at like half completion for months now, and I definitely wasn't able to finish it on the expansion launch because I got screwed over by all this stuff. But my motivation to finish it has been completely shot because of all the stuff that's happened. But I had all of this work to do, and I had kind of, for a while there, held out hope that, okay, eventually they're going to fix it, right? I'm not going to have to really re-level every single character, because that's another thing, by the way, at higher levels, which, like, my guild is World 300, which is high enough that this is relevant. At higher levels, as a tank bane, unless you have another tank in your guild who is doing this, you need to be ready to cover every single tank, at least to a passable degree at the start of a tier, until it's clear what your raid needs, because most tanks at this level are playing a flex spot. And if your raid team needs a raid buff, so like this raid, I started off on Brewmaster, we were going to need Druid buff, and Guardian was looking like a good way to get it. I was having fun with Guardian, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll swap. And I was only able to do that because I had every single tank prepped. Ironically, the only tank I didn't have prepped is Blood DK, because my co-tank is a one-trick Blood DK. And I'm like, okay, yeah, well, if we do need Blood DK, he'll have that covered. Joke's on me, because Mythic Brute Twister Ovanax, the 5th boss of the raid, was a double Blood DK fight, especially on Prague, before it got nerfed. So when we got to that fight on like the 3rd week of the raid, I had to, in the span of 48 hours, level and gear a Blood Death Knight up to 613 item levels so that we actually had a viable raid comp for progging that fight. And I did it. Of course I did it, because, I care about my guild and I care about Mythic Prog. But it would have been a lot easier if I already had one of my many level 70 Blood DKs on my main account that I could just pick from. And if I did, I probably would have leveled it earlier, because I wouldn't have had to re-level all other 5 tanks. So that was yet another fun thing that I had to deal with. And of course, all of this is going on. I'm submitting appeals, waiting. But by the time that I got that last response, we were about like a week or so out from the War Within. I waited, at this point, almost a full week. I got a response basically telling me to fuck off. I should note, kind of skimmed over this, I'm not going to dig up the post, but around this time, I also posted on the WoW forums, the customer support forums, which, of course, the moment I make this post about my situation, I'm dogpiled by a million Blizzard Glazers who tell me that this is not the correct place to post about this, you have to submit a ticket, yada, yada, yada. And then despite the immediate outpouring of just pure vitriol from these people who just will hate on anybody trying to get real feedback from a real Blizzard person telling me that they're never going to respond, I get an actual response from a Blizzard employee on that post. And ironically, despite, like I said, all of the people telling me that this is the wrong place to post it, that forum response may have been the single most relevant piece of info that I got, because there are tons of people who make posts like this on the forums and do receive actual responses, which is why I knew it wasn't a stupid idea. But a lot of them will say, hey, I never did XYZ thing, why am I banned? And a Blizzard person will go in there and say, actually, you did do exactly the thing that you're claiming not to. Here are receipts with proof of exactly why you got banned. And the blue post that responded to me, all they were able to say is, we're not sure, but there might be something installed on your computer that is being detected as cheat software that you don't even know is there. That was the most confident thing they were willing to say publicly on a forum where I have found that person, that same person responded to me, completely destroying false ban appeals and saying, no, you did exactly this. Here are the exact things that got you banned, right? And the only thing they were able to say to me is, you may have something on your computer that is triggering our anti-cheat without you even knowing it. That was the most confident thing they were able to say. So, bare minimum, I know they have absolutely nothing concrete, because if they did, they would have said it. And I kind of already know that, right? Because I know that I didn't use any cheat software. But even publicly, that's all they were willing to say, which again tells me that it must be some extremely flimsy thing, like I got mass reported by farming in the Mop Remix area, and then they just slapped me with an auto ban and refused to look into it further because they looked and it's like, yeah, this guy killed a mob for 8 hours straight. You know, what real human would kill a mob for 8 hours straight? You know, ignoring the entire classic player base. I guarantee you it's something like that. And they're using that as proof that I have cheat software on my account, which, before I dive into the final responses and all of that stuff, some additional context, right? At the time, especially during Mop Remix, I was actively multi-boxing 3 other accounts because for boosting in Mop Remix, it helped to have Warlock summons or a level 20 Twink account that you could use to boost yourself through dungeons. So I was actively playing multiple World of Warcraft accounts on the exact same computer. No input forwarding, by the way. Obviously, wasn't doing that. That would be really stupid. That is bannable. But I had multi-boxing characters like sitting at key locations to summon myself. Made it easy to do speedrun stuff. And none of those accounts got banned. So if it is, as Blizzard claims, that it is something on my computer that is causing their anti-cheat to flag my account, then why are the 3 other instances of World of Warcraft running at the exact same time at pretty much all times not getting banned? So if that were to truly be the case, and it is not the more likely theory, as I said, of a mass report, then it would have to be some random piece of software that I have no idea what it is, that I only happened to run at times when only my main account was open, which was very rare times and pretty much only when I was playing Cataclysm Classic and raiding with my guild, or playing normal, I guess at that point, Dragonflight, retail, and raiding Mythic with my guild. And I'm definitely sure that I didn't do anything in either raid that could be considered cheat software, so fuck if I know. That still theoretically should flag the other stuff, but again, I'm just pointing out countless things where these are effectively the accusations that I've had to read of actually, person on YouTube comments or person on Reddit, despite me never posting on a Reddit. I should note that other people posted my situation to Reddit without asking me, which I didn't really like, because especially when I'm not the one writing the post, I did have a few posts linked to me from, hey, I saw somebody posted this about you. And almost universally, the comments are people just shit-talking me and saying, like, he probably deserved it for XYZ reason. So that's always really fun, seeing people who you don't know at all, who don't know you at all, having a conversation about you that you never asked to be started. I never asked somebody to post it on Reddit and misconstrue my situation in their post, only to, you know, basically end up painting me unintentionally. I know most of those people probably had good intentions. They were basically saying this is an issue, Blizzard needs to fix it. But by leaving out key information, they're painting me in a bad light. And then it also gives people the impression that I am basically trying to farm sympathy by making my situation known publicly, when that was the exact opposite that I wanted to do. After my initial video, which obviously I'm going to make a YouTube video about it, it's literally affecting my career. It's affecting my ability to make YouTube videos. Therefore, if I didn't cover it, that would be insane. And I was hoping that even just a small blip of publicity would get people to, you know, get Blizzard's attention, which it did, and then get the situation fixed, which unfortunately it didn't. But after that, after I was clear that, hey, you know, raising noise about this isn't going to have an impact at all, I just stopped talking about it. And I also have barely streamed the past like 6 months. I've streamed like raid and stuff where I'm, you know, playing anyway, and I'm just like, okay, I'm already here, I'm already raiding with my friends, but I also don't talk to chat a lot, because at least for the first like 3 or so months after I got banned, every single time I streamed, I had people joining multiple times per stream asking me, did you get banned? Or did you get unbanned? And I would say, nope, I didn't get unbanned. And then every single one of those people, again, if you are watching this and you happen to be one of those people, don't feel bad, I get it. But every single one of those people doesn't know the full story, especially because I didn't post a follow-up video. I didn't really want to talk about it. So then they're like, oh, have you tried doing this? Oh, what happened? You know, didn't they, or didn't you say that somebody from Blizzard was going to take a look into it or something like that? And then I have to continually explain to different people and repeat the exact same story and go over the fact that I'm completely fucked and there's nothing I can do about it. And eventually I just started saying I really would rather not talk about it, because it's just exhausting having to repeat the exact same story about how, you know, you've been completely fucked over to the 20th person for months on end, and you just want to fucking forget it even happened. This is why, by the way, I can never sit down and script this. And the only way that this video will even ever exist is if I do something like this, because talking about it is just, it's overwhelming. It makes me angry, right? And I get like 2 pages into a script and I just get pissed off. And it's, when I make a scripted video, I want to have like a concise tone and, you know, clearly explain the points and walk through exact steps that I took to have my situation fixed. But I can't do that here, right? I can't do that, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to stay calm through writing and recording and editing an 8-page scripted video, or however long it would take to do this whole situation justice. Effectively, around, so kind of, I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but back to around this time, after I had waited 6 days and gotten fucked over, let me outline my current situation to you, and outline effectively why I didn't continue making noise. We've already, you know, explained the clear part of it sucks to talk about, especially when I don't think it'll do any good. It feels bad. Okay, that's an obvious reason. But what are the more practical reasons why I didn't actually do anything? The big one is, it is a major time investment to have to deal with this crap. Because up until that point, up until I got that final response of, you know, waiting 6 days, telling me to fuck off, I had just been effectively resubmitting my appeal, my defense, with a few minor variations, hoping that one time they're going to look into it. That is mentally draining in terms of when I wake up and I see a notification on my phone, new ticket response, like on my Gmail, because it automatically pings my Gmail, which pings my phone. New ticket response. And you get excited, right? You're like, oh my God, finally. And you see it, it's just the same copy pasted thing of this has already been resolved. And it is a soul crushing feeling. It is genuinely one of the worst feelings that I have ever felt in my entire life. You know, getting your hopes up only to just have it crushed. And that, while that was a very big mental drain and made it hard for me to like motivate myself to do things, at the very least, at that point, all I needed to do was get up, go to the support page, find the article, write a response. Okay, there we go. Ticket submitted, and now it's out of my hands, and I just need to wait however many days until they give me, hopefully, an actual solution, but most likely another template response. But I can't control the fact that they're giving me a template response. And the preceding thing to the 6-day one was, we'll look into it again. They actually gave me some hope again. So that's why I was kind of being patient. I was like, wow, this is taking a while. So I'm like, it's been 6 days. Surely they must be doing actual, some work on it. And then the fact that it wasn't even we did further review. It was a generic, this situation has already been resolved, closed. Not even marked as resolved and I can reply to it. They just straight up closed the ticket and prevented further replies. That's kind of what made it really bad, because I got my hopes up, surely they'll do something this time. No. So now I'm kind of faced with the choice, right? Of I can keep trying to put in more effort to just submit endless tickets and keep fighting this over and over, or make Twitter posts, which I made a Twitter literally just to post about this. I hate Twitter. I despise it as a platform. I'm not going to call it fucking X. It's still Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk and his cheating PoE ass. If you haven't seen the PoE drama for Elon Musk, by the way, go watch it. It's so fucking funny. I've been addicted to PoE too, and it is hilarious watching him just as an absolute fucking buffoon try and pass himself off as somebody who actually plays the game when he's clearly been boosted. If you've seen it, you already know how good it is. If you haven't, even if you don't play PoE, it's really funny. Complete tangent, but I don't know. Like I said, it's already a 37-minute rambly video, and that has just been on my mind because I just keep laughing at how stupid that is. Anyways, I hate Twitter. That's why I said that in the first place. But I did make a Twitter account just to make posts adding Warcraft devs. Nothing ever came of that. And eventually I did actually get a response from Blizzard CS weeks after. I noticed it a really long time after too, because they responded so late I didn't even think to check. But they said something to the effect of, just keep submitting responses. If you're really innocent, you'll eventually get, your ban lifted. And I know that is wrong for reasons that I will discuss, but I never got any real help from them. I knew it was kind of a shot in the dark anyway, and I could have made Reddit posts. I could have just kept making endless videos, which, that's the thing, making these kind of videos, even a video like this, which is the pretty much bare minimum effort that I could possibly put into a video about this situation, even something like this takes a lot of work. I need to sit here and rant for an hour. I don't know exactly how long it's going to be, but probably pretty long. And then I need to take that, throw it into Adobe Premiere, grab B-roll footage and slap it on top, and have relevant things going on screen with the customer support tickets, etc. So I need to do all of that. It's still going to be hours of work that I could be spending, grinding maps in PoE 2, which is frankly what I'd rather be doing right now. But I'm making this because I feel like I need to, because otherwise I'm just doing a disservice to all the other people who got falsely banned and don't have the patience to ride it out like I do. Not to say I'm not even really patient. I would have quit if it wasn't for the fact that this is literally my job and all my friends are in this game pretty much. But all that to say, I could have spent all of this effort in the 1 to 2 weeks. I forget exactly how close it was to War Within launch, but it was very close to War Within launch. I could have spent all of that effort trying to appeal this ban, and maybe it would have worked, and I would have gotten all my characters back. That would have been great. But the problem is, what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't work? What if I spend all of this effort trying to submit appeals, trying to make YouTube videos, trying to make Reddit posts, because it is a lot of effort doing a lot of that, at least in a way that is good. Anybody can scream into the void. If you want to actually make yourself heard, you need to spend a lot of time carefully wording everything you say, finding, evidence that supports your claims, right? So that is not easy to do, and it is very mentally draining as well. Or I could just chalk it up as a loss and accept the fact that my account's probably not going to be reverted and spend that effort trying to get as caught up as I possibly can before the launch of the War Within, because I still wasn't fully caught up at this point. I needed multiple characters leveled. I didn't have characters leveled. I needed to get geared on my, one of my Brewmaster monks for day 1 leveling. And it's something that a lot of my friends didn't understand. They're like, why do you need to have a geared character for day 1 leveling? Well, here's the thing. Historically, some of my biggest streams, and by association videos, are maybe not the video recordings, but the video recording does well, but definitely biggest streams, day 1 expansion leveling. Because one of the main things that I do on my channel is World of Warcraft speedruns, World of Warcraft speed leveling, etc. Well, who is somebody going to watch on day one of the expansion if they're trying to optimize leveling? It's me, because I'm the guy who optimizes leveling. So I always have very big streams on launch day where I'm leveling my character as fast as possible. I'm doing all the fancy tricks that I've, learned on beta and getting a super fast time and getting a really fancy speedrun that I am proud of, that also other people can watch and enjoy and learn from and use while leveling their own characters. So I consistently have really big streams, which not only it's just fun for me, I like that, but like, again, this is my job. This is my full-time job, YouTube, at this point. And financially, for better or for worse, I got to think about that. That matters, right? I have to consider that. So if I were going into day one War Within leveling with a fresh level 70 character that had like questing greens and it was taking me like 30 seconds to kill a single mob, well, that wouldn't exactly be an entertaining stream, would it? So I had to spend a lot of time gearing up one character and getting like as close to like best in slot gear at the time without entering mythic raids. I had to buy mythic BOE items with speed and a socket on it. Some of my friends gave me gold so that I could afford that. I have a lot of really helpful and generous friends, thankfully, who without, I don't know if I would have even bothered trying to catch up. But, I should also note, another thing I completely forgot is at the time I was still raiding in Cataclysm Classic, and I was also still the main tank for my Cataclysm Classic guild. And again, super generous friends. My friend Taco literally gave me 30,000 gold in Cataclysm Classic to get a Death Knight geared up, or leveled up, and geared up, in the week after I got initially banned so that I could tank for our next raid. And I did. And it took me something like 40 to 50 hours of time in terms of like combined leveling and Priebus gearing time to be ready for raids. And then I'm walking into like Cata Heroic Nefarian Prog, still using mostly heroic dungeon gear and having to bust my ass to actually live because, just the week before I'm like, okay, wow, I have like a really awesome gear set perfectly ready to tank the final bosses of this tier. Nope, get fucked, you lost your character. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to survive this boss with a heroic dungeon gear. So that was another thing that I had to do. And this is all work that I have to do, both for stuff that is effectively a hobby, right? So the Cataclysm raiding thing, it's not something that I make videos on, but it's still a thing that I enjoy doing, or enjoyed. We aren't raiding in Cata anymore. Enjoyed doing, and like a lot of my friends were relying on me. Like if I wasn't ready, we weren't killing that boss. I needed to be there if we stood even a chance at killing the boss, because there was, the ban happened literally like 2 days before our raid that week, and obviously it didn't get fixed. So they literally weren't able to do progression that week because I was out. And they had to have somebody play an off-spec, and they did re-clear bosses, but they weren't able to actually progress, which I felt really bad. Obviously, it wasn't my fault, but it still feels really bad. And also, I didn't start leveling a character because I was telling my friends, like, no, it's fine. I'll totally get it fixed before raid in a few days. It's just a misunderstanding. And then, raid day came and went and still wasn't addressed. So that sucked. So, there was absolutely no way where it was an effective, like, time cost ratio, I don't know the right word to describe it, for me to try and get my ban appealed when I could be using that time instead to just make progress on my new account and get those characters ready. And would those characters ever be as good as the ones that I lost on my main account? No, but at least they would be serviceable replacements, because in the end, I did manage to get, as I said, everything but a Blood DK ready for War Within. I did manage to get a Brewmaster Monk really geared in time to do the day one leveling speedrun, and I also managed to get that character geared up for the Cataclysm run, and we ended up killing Heroic Nefarian, which I'm glad I did, because I actually had a lot of fun with that boss. Even if I haven't played Firelands much, because our guild fell apart, I don't regret getting that character geared up, because I did enjoy the remainder of our time spent raiding. So, in hindsight, I actually do think I made the correct decision, because I was able to get all that stuff done. And the other thing is, even if I had gotten my account back, there was no way that I could undo the damage it had already caused in terms of, like, productive hours that could have been spent working on my video guides, right? Because all the time that I was now spending getting those characters leveled up was time that I wasn't spending getting footage for my leveling guides, because, like, leveling characters, I was leveling these characters, I should note, through Mop Remix, right? Because obviously, if I'm going to get a bunch of, I needed something like 10 to 15 characters prepped. If I'm going to get 10 to 15 characters prepped, I'm going to do it with like 1 to 2 hour runs in Mop Remix rather than doing a normal actual leveling run that takes like, even at my fastest, 2.5 hours. And realistically speaking, I'm not going to have the goal to buy fancy consumables, so it'd be closer to like 3.5 hours, which may not seem like a big difference, but when you're doing that 10 to 15 times, that is a colossal additional time investment that you'd have to make. So despite the fact that I was leveling a lot of characters, it was not the type of leveling that I would be using for my War Within 10 to 70 guide, so it wasn't relevant footage. I wasn't actually getting the testing done that I needed to get done, and also, you know, even if I got all that testing done, sitting down in Adobe Premiere and spending the time editing and then, you know, scripting out the entire guide and detailing all that stuff was just a massive undertaking that I simply did not have time for. And more importantly, if I'm going to spend time on one video, it was going to be 70 to 80 leveling for War Within, because that was the new stuff, and that was more relevant because more people care about that than like old expansion alt leveling. So I had to just effectively scrap all of those guides, and I'm still going to make them at some point mid-expansion as like an update to my old leveling guides, but a lot of them look completely different. A lot of the work that I did back then is lost. I've had to redo all of my testing and, you know, redo a bunch of speedruns and stuff like that. I've already done a lot of the legwork for that. You can see some of the speedruns on my main channel that are going to be used as the benchmark for those guides, but I still need to script it out, edit it out, all that stuff. Still a lot of work that I, right now, don't have the motivation to do. All that to say, I chose that over screaming into the void and trying to fight my ban. Eventually. Before I came to that decision of, I give up, this is never going to get unbanned, I had one last gamble. And this is where the title of the video comes into play. After I received that fucked up response, after waiting 6 days, I said, okay, the gloves are off. I am going to embrace the hidden jutsu that I have heard so many people talk about, that a bunch of people say isn't actually real, it's just a rumor, that isn't true. If you submit your ticket as a payment issue, you get a response much faster than if you don't, because I just waited 6 days to be told to fuck off. So at this point, I was willing to do anything. If I sent another ticket, it would probably take 2 weeks and I'd be told to fuck off again. So even if it didn't work, even if I didn't get a response, oh well, I'm screwed anyway. I might as well try it. You want to know what's crazy? It worked. It actually worked. I submitted a ticket, and within like 15 minutes of the ticket being submitted as a payment issue, I got a response. Now, I don't know if I'm still showing it on screen. I'm going to keep each one up for like, you know, I don't know, a minute or so. But every single one of those responses that was submitted as a payment issue was like a generic template response. And some of them didn't even have the correct reason for why I was getting like banned and why they were upholding it. Some of them gave like a bit of additional detail on it, but the problem is because some of them were so wildly off, it's hard for me to, in hindsight, tell whether I was getting actual new information from these people or if they were just copy-pasting the wrong template and accidentally providing me with new fake info by saying the wrong thing. I can't really say. What I can say is that at the very least, I submitted something like 10 tickets in the span of 2 hours and kept trying to get a response, hoping like, hey, at least it's working, right? And when you've been stonewalled for 6 days, you'll try anything. And the moment I get a response within 15 minutes, oh yeah, I am going to just abuse the hell out of this. Now, you can see in all my responses, I didn't say anything mean. By the end of it, I started copy-pasting my response a lot with minimal changes because I was getting very obvious template responses that weren't really answering anything. But that's the thing, I kept going. Get a response in 5 minutes. Boom. Okay. They close the ticket, submit another payment issue. This time, I'm having a payment issue with BattleNet currency because eventually it said you just submitted a ticket under this category, you can't do it again. Well, I had a payment issue with about every single type of currency. If it let me submit a payment issue with euros, I probably would have done that even though I live in the US. But eventually I went through like a bunch of different categories. I got a bunch of generic template responses that I was hoping would eventually lead to somebody looking into it. And then the threats start coming. Hey, if you're harassing support staff, we're going to increase the penalties. And I think towards the end, I started wording my responses to the extent of like, what does harassment mean in this case? I have said nothing aggressive or mean to any of the support staff. All I am doing is using your support system to try and get eyes on my problem, which is not resolved because I'm falsely accused, right? I know I never cheated. I know that you're putting me over a barrel here. I didn't literally say it in those words, but I know that you're fucking me over. I know that this is bullshit and you haven't actually looked at the relevant details of my ticket. So I am just, through the official means, trying to get a response by any means necessary in terms of using the categories, right? And, you know, this may be like the only thing that if somebody wanted to be super fucking pedantic, you could say that using the wrong category, like using the payment category instead of the ban appeal category, is harassment because you know that it's not meant to be used for that. It's like, yeah, fucking of course I know that you're supposed to use the ban appeal category, but I used that for 3 weeks and they waited days to give me a fuck off response. So if the system doesn't work, it is not the consumer's fault for trying to find peaceful loopholes, right? I'm not like one thing that my friends joking, well, knowing him, it probably wasn't a joke, but I took it as a joke and said, haha, no, I'm not doing that. One of my friends actually said that back when he got banned years ago, he got the email address of one of the customer support people at Blizzard and emailed them directly, like with including like people's names to try and get it more attention, who actually like real life docs names of people at the company. Like that is harassment. That is fucked up. That is going beyond the actual normal means of getting a ban appealed. I think that using a different category, especially, you know, payment issue category, is a super duper like innocent way of slightly skirting the rules. And I'm sorry, but it is kind of a fucking payment issue when I have literally been playing this game since 2004. It was either early 2005 or late 2004. I forget exactly when. Within the first few months of this game coming out, when I was 5 years old. And there's a lot of people who will say they have like a 19, 20-year-old account and they played in vanilla and then they like stopped playing for many years and then started again recently. Other than maybe like a few months in Warlords of Draenor, I have been subbed to this game for pretty much the entire 20 years. I have played this game my entire childhood. I have given Blizzard a shitload of money all of this time. So for me to have been supporting this game, making videos for this game, right? And trying to, at least, you know, I've definitely been critical of the decisions that Blizzard makes over the years. I do not give them a free pass. I have absolutely never cut them slack because, you know, I played during Shadowlands. I played during BFA. So when everybody else was praising Dragonflight, I was saying this is kind of shit. So I've always been a bit more critical, but I've still always played it, and I've still always loved parts of World of Warcraft. If I hated the game unconditionally, I would stop playing it. I do love the game, and the parts of the game that I love, like Mythic Raiding, I have always tried to get more people into. The main reason that I still enjoy making leveling videos is because I want more new players to get into this game, because I do think there are many things in it that are good and are worth trying. So that's the main appeal there. I am not a leveler, as many people seem to think. A lot of people ask me, like, why do you enjoy leveling as your main form of gameplay? It's like, it's fucking not. Leveling is a hobby for me. It's like a mini game. It's something that I do for fun when I'm really bored. And then because when I was really bored, in between expansions, started making speedruns and guides, and those took off, I continued doing it because people enjoyed it. But it's always been like a side thing for me. I continue playing this game for the, you know, the mythic rating, the like killing difficult bosses with my friends. That's what I enjoy, and I want more people to experience that because it's very few other places where you can get that. And as long as that is still good, I will continue to play this game. I will continue to have fun with World of Warcraft. It's really hard to try and give Blizzard any sort of positive feedback when, despite being a loyal paying customer for 20 years, they can't even be bothered to give me an actual review on my ticket when I get wrongly banned. And this, again, I know I need to repeat this, but one of the other reasons I waited this long to make this video, right, is I would hope that unless somebody is absolutely fucking brain dead, I would hope that there is no way that you can look at this video and say, this guy is just trying to draw public sympathy to get his ban, like, reverted. My ban ends in 6 days. So if I wanted to get my ban reverted, I'm not even playing retail WoW right now outside of Raid, which my guild's doing one night reclears. We recleared in 2 hours. I played WoW for 2 hours. I played Plunderstorm for about 2 hours after that, and then I think like 2 days ago I played Plunderstorm for 2 hours with some guildies, and that's all I played retail WoW. And trust me, I don't need my account that's been banned for 6 months to do that 1 week faster. I gain nothing by getting my account unbanned 1 week faster. The only thing that I would like is if somebody at Blizzard happens to stumble across this video and decides to, do their fucking job and look at my ticket, it would be really nice if just as a sign that they actually care, that they actually give a shit about their players, they can, months after it should have been done, look at my ticket, see, oh, hey, you were innocent the whole time. And if my ban ends like 3 days early, I wouldn't care about the 3 days. I would care about finally being recognized for being innocent this whole fucking time and having to go, put an insane amount of effort into rebuilding my entire account across 2 versions of WoW, Cataclysm Classic and Retail, to recover so that I could play with my friends, so that I could raid in both versions of the game. I did that because I love this game, and I love my friends, and I didn't want to let them down, and I had to suffer through all that while also being falsely accused of something that I didn't do. I'm making this video partially for that. It would be really fucking nice to get some recognition for the fact that I was innocent the whole time. I don't expect that to happen, so and more realistically, the reasons I'm making this video is A, I want to get the entire story out there and show how fucked it is to have to deal with Blizzard customer support and all of the consequences that come with, screaming into the void. And also talk about this because there's probably a ton of other people, not probably, I know there's a ton of other people who are in the same situation. And now I'm actually going to show some other screenshots from a friend of mine. And I will take a slight tangent to discuss my friend's situation, which at this point, I don't think he plans on getting unbanned either. I think he knows that it's a lost cause, just like I do. But my friend was playing Classic Anniversary when it came out back in November, and he was leveling extremely quickly. Mind you, while in Discord with all of us, he just was having a lot of fun with the game. He was playing mostly in a party with other people. In fact, when the ban went out, he was on a flight path with 3 of our other friends in his group as they were preparing to do quests, and they had already been questing together for hours. So it wasn't like he was just grinding off in a corner, killing mobs as a mage or something, and he's like, oh man, I totally was playing legit. No, he was leveling legit, playing in a group of other people the entire time. He was just playing non-stop, pretty much. He didn't sleep a lot, but I was leveling a lot too, and I was in Discord with him the entire time, so at the very least, I know without a shadow of a doubt that he did not cheat at all, and yet he got falsely banned for cheating. And it's not just him. Around the exact same time, a big ban wave went out on Nightslayer, the server that I play on, for the exact same thing, for cheat software. And across the board, because there were a ton of Reddit posts about this, it was high-level players, like in the 40s or 50s within the first few days, who got hit with a ban because they were leveling too quickly. Now, I looked at a lot of those posts, and a bunch of them actually posted follow-ups that they got unbanned. Unfortunately, my friend did not get unbanned. He submitted appeals, and I think he did send me the screenshots. I'll dig them up because I think this is interesting. He showed me the screenshots of all of his appeal posts, and what a surprise, a lot of them are almost word for word the exact same response that I got months ago for retail WoW. Not completely, but basically different games for effectively different reasons, right? Because my friend was leveling, and I was presumably, AFK botting Mop Remix is, like I said, the only reasonable thing that they could be accusing me of, even though, because I can't even think what else you would use cheat software for that I was doing, right? So that's the only thing that I think it could possibly be. But let's say that is what they're accusing me of. How are those, comparable, even across different versions of the game? But they're both flagged as unauthorized use of cheat programs, which apparently is a gigantic umbrella that covers a ton of things, and they have the exact same template responses for people who receive this penalty in retail and people who receive this penalty in classic. And of course, he went through the exact same steps that I did, all the way up until the like submitted as a payment issue. I told him that he should do that because I showed him the proof. It kind of worked for me, I guess. At least it got responses. But he just gave up. He said, honestly, because like that's the thing, he's not tied to this game in the same way that I am, right? It's not his job. So after he got like a bunch of template responses that said, you know, fuck you, we're not unbanning you, he just gave up. He said, yep, fuck this game. I'm going to go play RuneScape or PoE. I think is what he's playing now. Kind of sucks because now, you know, we're raiding Molten Core and he's not there. And he pops into Discord every now and then, but we haven't like really talked to him quite as much, at least as much as we did before. So it really sucks because this is a case where, you know, the only reason I'm mentioning this one is because, while obviously you can take my word for it or not, right? I'm not even going to give the account details because like my friend didn't ask me to post this here. I asked him for the stuff like months ago, and I'm putting this here because it's an interesting, relevant anecdote. But I'm mentioning this because I know for a fact that he is innocent, because in this particular case, I literally was in Discord with him, watching him play with other people. Most of the time, they were streaming on Discord, so I could literally watch all of them grouped up doing stuff. It is quite literally impossible that he botted at all. So I know for a fact that it's a false ban. If the myriad of other false bans at the exact same time didn't already soft confirm it. But I have received countless people messaging me on Discord who I obviously don't know personally, but they've said, hey, I saw your video about getting falsely banned and I'm going through the same thing. You know, how can you help me? Right? That's been another really kind of depressing side of things of, you know, getting people asking like, hey, are you able to help me with this? Because I saw you went through the same problem. And then I have to basically say, I'm sorry, man, there's like nothing I can do. I didn't manage to get it fixed. I got fucked over. And they'll tell me about like, you know, how it completely screws them over, how like, you know, they won't be able to raid with their friends, or, you know, they were really excited to try this game and then randomly they just get banned. And I have no idea if these are true stories or not, but I'm willing to bet at least some of them are. And the one thing that they all have in common is they're all really disappointed and really upset. And every single time it happens, it reminds me of my own situation. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. It really sucks. I'm really sorry to hear that. And I really wish there was anything that I could do to help your situation, but I can't even help my own situation. So I just have to kind of nod along and listen to them like kind of trauma dump about the fucked up situation they're in. And I'm trying to be like nice and polite and, you know, understanding, all the while feeling fucking awful because it just, again, reminds me of what I went through, and I know that there's nothing I can do to fix their issue either. So that feels bad. And I kind of went off topic, but all of that to say, after I submitted enough tickets and got told that I would be like have my account further penalized if I continued to submit tickets harassing customer staff. And when, like I said, that's what they do. They claim that it's harassment, even though you can clearly see in here that it's not harassment. I did nothing that would be actually considered harassment. And then they use that as an excuse to punish you. And I even, after they said any further tickets will result in a punishment, I did not stop there. I wrote very politely, I am just trying to understand what would be considered harassment of customer staff. I'm trying my best to word my tickets in a polite way, and I want to get my issue resolved. Effectively, I don't remember my exact words, but I said something to the effect of, I want to be absolutely clear that I am not harassing anybody. I'm just trying to go through official channels to right this wrong, because I don't know what you possibly expect me to do. If you're telling me that, you know, I'm guilty and I know I'm not guilty, what am I supposed to do other than nonstop appeal until it is literally impossible? And then they give you a warning. The ticket literally says account action warning. And there's two problems with this. One, my new account is actually linked to my original one. So I have the same exact BattleNet, which is my Harldan account, right? I have the same exact one. And then within it, there's like two drop-down World of Warcraft accounts within my BattleNet account. So my World of Warcraft account was banned for 6 months, but my BattleNet account is still perfectly fine. And then within my same exact BattleNet account, I had my level 20 Twink account, the one that I used for Mop Remix, which, funnily enough, is the account that I used for like 99% of my multi-boxing. So, you know, if anything they're going to try and accuse me of, like, that account was there all the time and it was not touched. And because it was still linked to my main account, I was able to just turn that into a regular WoW account. So I have been playing on that second WoW account on my main Battle.net, which, by the way, 100% within terms of service. I have had a few people around that time tell me that what I'm doing is, like, not allowed, which it is. If it wasn't allowed, they literally wouldn't let you do it. Like, I didn't hack the game to allow it to accept my other account. My other account was always there, and when the first one got banned, the second one didn't get touched. And I should note, by the way, you probably could have seen me bring this up in some of the ticket responses. There were many times when I directly said to Blizzard, here are the, like, IDs of my other Battle.net accounts that I have actively multi-boxed. Please, if I am guilty, if I truly did cheat on this computer, ban these accounts too, because they would have been flagged as well. They were all used on this computer. Please explain to me why all of these other accounts, I will give you the names. Please ban them if I actually cheated. They're still working to this day. Nothing ever happened, including the one linked to my BNet account. But all that to say, I have no idea if they do a further penalty on my original WoW account. Is that going to affect my other account as well? If I submit another appeal beyond that warning, am I going to get my entire Battle.net account action? Because technically, I am submitting, requests on my BNet account. Like, I'm on the Blizzard webpage. I'm not doing this through World of Warcraft. So it stands to reason that if they give me an account action at this point, they might just ban my entire BNet account. So what am I supposed to do? Now that I have spent the last month getting all my characters re-leveled to be able to play with my friends, and fighting this ban, and doing all of that on a brand new account that I had to pay money for, mind you. I had to rebuy the expansion, rebuy early access so I could finish my testing, because that's the other thing, right? I have to buy the Epic Edition of War Within on a second account now, which is a lot of money, because not only do I need early access, but I need beta access for testing. So that's additional money that I had to spend. So this whole ordeal has actually cost me a significant amount of money, which kind of is worth it because it's a business expense, because without it, I wouldn't have been able to make videos, and then, like, my main source of revenue would be completely shot. So, like, obviously, I did it because I had to. I probably ended up making way more money by actually being able to finish the videos that I had been working on. But it still doesn't feel good losing out on like $100 or more having to reset up an entire account when I would have had that already on my previous account. That still feels bad, even if I know it is financially the best decision for me to make. So I had to do all that. Am I now going to risk it just to prove a point? Am I going to effectively martyr myself and submit yet another ticket after every single response thus far has been an unflinching fuck you? An unflinching, we are not actually going to read your ticket. We are just going to give you a template response, tell you that this has already been reviewed, and close your ticket. Am I going to, after all of that, still, just for the sake of saying I didn't give up, do another ticket after they've threatened to action my account and potentially fuck up my entire last month of playtime and my main, revenue source? No. I am not stupid. I am not suicidal. Because cutting off my main revenue source and main way to play with friends just to prove a point would be about the dumbest life decision I could possibly make. So I didn't do that, because that would be crazy. This is kind of where I'm like, I want to find a moral to this story almost, and that was kind of the main reason I struggled so much to make this video. I've already talked about how difficult making this video has been, but that, I think, has been the main problem, because I would get through the script, right? And I would go, like, outline all of the things that I've spent the last hour discussing and talk about how fucked my situation is and how much bullshit that I had to stomach. And then I'm writing this out in Google Docs. I'm angry. I'm pissed off remembering everything that happened. And then you want to think to yourself, but, like, surely there's a silver lining, right? What's the light at the end of the tunnel? What is the good outcome for all of this? And there is none. There is none. Blizzard's customer support is fucked. And if anything, it got worse, because then I had to watch my friend get banned,
in the exact same way that I did. And it just tore open old wounds and pissed me off. And like initially I considered making this video a few months after it happened. Then I gave up. Then my friend got banned. And then I'm like, I'm definitely going to make this video in December. And then I ran into the same problem. And now we're a week out from the ban getting reverted. And I guess I finally need to make something, but the entire situation sucks. And if you've watched thus far, thank you. Because I guess at this point you must only be listening because you enjoy my content and you enjoy me rambling and you want to support me in any way that matters, even if it's just listening. And frankly, that helps, right? Just something seemingly that small, that helps, because that's kind of the main recurring theme throughout all of this, right? It's that nobody, well, not nobody, but a lot of people have listened. I'm not trying to say people haven't been supportive. They have been, but it is, I don't think, a very unpopular opinion to say that most people tend to amplify negative feedback more than positive feedback. I can get like 100 nice comments, and then I'm going to hyperfixate on the 2 mean comments. It's in many ways just human nature. And in some ways, I do think that I am better at shrugging it off, especially I get a lot of hate comments. Every YouTuber does. But a lot of the really stupid comments that I just know this person is really dumb. They have no idea what they're talking about. Made a video about like time walking leveling, and I had like 3 separate comments from people who are like, Lamau, I can do what you did in under 1 hour. And I'm like, okay, brother, sure. I'm sure you can. Like, let me check your channel. Oh, wait, nope. Yeah, you don't have any runs. Okay, let me Google 1 hour, 1 to 80. Wow, shit, it doesn't exist. It's like I keep hearing these stories about like, man, you're so shit. I got boosted in 1 hour, and then you look for the proof and it's not there. So there's like so many stupid people who will leave completely brain dead comments that are completely unsubstantiated on my videos, and those ones I either just delete them and move on, or I write like, a snarky response for fun. And it's whatever. That doesn't bother me. It's the ones about the ban, they do tend to weigh on you. Because especially, people, it wasn't so much in my video. Like I got 1 or 2 like rude comments on my video, right? But I think a lot of the people who actually clicked on that, who actually watched it and heard all the stuff, if they were rude, they were more like kind of slightly skeptical, but they would usually say like, hey, if you are innocent, I hope it gets fixed, or something like that. The people who are really mean are the ones who aren't even talking to me. It's like the people talking passively about me in, some third-party website or Discord where they think that I'm not even reading it, and then I have to read like a complete stranger's thoughts on me without any knowledge on like the details of my situation. And like, I can sit here and obviously rationalize to myself that, they are completely uninformed and they obviously don't know all of the details. If you really sit down and break it out logically, yeah, this person's an idiot. They have no idea what they're talking about. I shouldn't be taking it so seriously. But when you see enough comments like that about you, but not directed at you, about a situation that you're facing that just really sucks in general, it's really hard to properly describe the mental toll that takes on you if you haven't experienced that yourself. It's fucking rough. So while I did have a lot of people who were very supportive and very nice, and as I said, tons of people would join my stream for months after the fact, ask me like updates on the ban stuff and be like, oh, that really sucks. I hope you get your account fixed, like rooting for you. So many people were really nice. And the unfortunate reality is a lot of times, I would try not to show it in my responses and on stream, but it would sting having to like recount that, like I said. But there was still some nice little glimmer of like, hey, at least this random person is, remembering the fact that I got banned and checking in to be like, hey, I wonder if he ever got unbanned. I really hope that he did. And that's nice, that helps. But those feelings of slight like, that's kind of nice, do nowhere near enough to outweigh the overwhelming negative shit that you read sometimes. That's the stuff that keeps you up at night. That's the stuff that sticks in your mind. And that's one of the main reasons why I haven't made this video, because every time I think about it, I think about the fact that there's no silver lining, there's no good conclusion to this. It's just a shitty ending. And I'm probably just going to open myself up to more of those comments that I really would rather not read, but probably will end up stumbling upon anyways. So that's cool.
Okay, so Harldan from the future here is just gonna cut in and record the rest of this video because a few different things. This is about 4-ish days after all of the other audio. So initially I recorded this on a Friday, so the Friday before I'm originally posting this video, and I'm now recording this on Tuesday morning. So for starters, obviously this took a lot longer to make than I thought. I thought this video would only take me about 24 hours. Turns out getting all of the screenshots and stuff compiled and edited throughout the video, and then also overlaying the footage in the right spot, making sure it, was passably, workable. I could have just thrown some generic, completely unedited footage in the background, but I wanted to at least make this like a semi-put-together video, even if it is very long and rambly. So it took a lot longer than I thought. But also, I had one critical detail wrong, and I don't know how I got it wrong, but my ban actually ends on the Tuesday of next week, so a week from the time, ideally, that I'm going to be posting this. So I'm going to hopefully be posting this video on the 21st, on this Tuesday, and almost exactly on reset, next week on the 28th is when my ban actually ends. I don't know why, for a long time I had it in my mind that it was January 23rd. It wasn't, so I said that in the video, and I talked about some plans for January 23rd and onwards, and the general plans stay the same, it's just now I'm shifting it. And initially I thought, like, oh, I could just put an editing overlay, like, oh, I said the wrong thing, it's actually the 28th, but as I will explain shortly, the actual day in which it ends is kind of relevant for some video plans and streaming plans that I have, so I don't want people to be trying to tune into a stream that's not going to happen in case they want to watch. So, anyways, let me just kind of cut to the point, because also in the original version of this, I was still rambling a lot, and I want to hopefully make this at least a little bit shorter. One of the main things that I'm kind of hoping to do with the ending of this ban, and obviously it sucks that I had to wait out the full 6 months, but I want there to at least be some good note. Didn't get it fixed, never got my appeals listened to, but at the very least, now that it's over, we can do some cool things. So my plan is to go back and revisit a lot of the runs, a lot of the things that I wasn't able to do because of the ban basically screwing me over, interrupting me, cutting me off. Because I lost a lot of progress, as I've discussed throughout the video, but there were also multiple things that I kind of wanted to get back to at some point, and I probably would have after getting, like, cutting edge this tier, after Ansarek died, like, around Christmas break. A lot of times I'll go back and tackle, like, more miscellaneous projects, but a lot of the stuff that I kind of wanted to do, I couldn't, because the characters that I would have used were stuck in limbo, effectively, and couldn't do that. So instead I just, like I said, played a lot of PoE 2, as I've mentioned throughout the video, which honestly wasn't so bad. It's a fun game, but it did mean that I wasn't uploading as much. So I aim to fix that. We're going to do a lot of streams. My goal is to stream pretty much every single day for a fairly extended period of time. I don't know exactly how well I'm going to be able to keep up with that, or how long I'm going to do it. It's not like a hard commitment of I'm going to stream 7 days every single day for like 8 hours plus or something, which, like, I used to stream a lot. These days I just tend to be very busy sometimes, and I won't be able to commit to it. Or honestly, some days, I'll be honest, lately my mental health is not in a super great spot, and I'm just not in a mindset for streaming, and that happens. And not gonna delve into that, but that's just, it is what it is. Some days it's hard to sit down and try and talk to people and be upbeat and entertaining when I'm not feeling it. So I will do my best on every single one of the days of that week to continue streaming, but maybe one day I need to take a break. It'll happen. But the plan is on Tuesday the 28th, pretty early, so I don't know exactly when, because it says the ban is going to end at noon, but I don't know if it's noon my time or noon Pacific. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm probably not going to start the stream until my account is ready. I will probably check, make sure, okay, the account is ready. I can log into all my characters. Nothing's broken. Because also the last thing I want to do is, like, it doesn't work for some reason and the ban is supposed to end and it's still, I can't access anything. That would really suck. So I want to make sure everything's in working order. But after I've had my account back for like an hour or so maybe like early afternoon, I'll start the stream. And I'm also going to try, I will experiment with this. We'll see. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but I'm going to try multi-streaming between Twitch and YouTube. So for a while now, I've primarily only been streaming on Twitch, and I know a lot of people have been asking for the YouTube streams back. I will give a quick disclaimer. The YouTube streams are not permanently returning, as like in every single stream will now be multi-streamed to YouTube. I've already explained multiple times why, logistically speaking, because of the YouTube algorithm, that is simply not possible. That is the reason I've streamed on Twitch now in the first place. It's not just I feel like streaming on Twitch, so that's what I'm going to do. The Twitch streaming was to solve a fundamental issue with the YouTube algorithm fucking me over, and I can't just undo that. Like, that hasn't changed. But for things like this, which I think will perform well on YouTube, you know, even within like my main channel, I have no issue having that stream up on YouTube. It's just Twitch works really well for the smaller stuff, where I can't, I don't think the recording would perform well, for lack of a better description. And what I'll probably do is try to make it clear to people during that stream that, like, hey, for some of the future ones, it might be Twitch only. And maybe going forward, I'll like alternate and do like primarily Twitch only streams. So like if I'm just doing raid with my guild, that'll be Twitch only, because that's not an interesting recording. I'll still post the recording on my stream archive as always, but that won't be like multi-stream to YouTube. And if it's an interesting stream, like I'm doing a leveling run or something, that I can multi-stream to YouTube. And that way, every now and then, if people catch the YouTube streams, I have a way to remind them, by the way, I do like most of the streaming on Twitch. And then we can maybe expedite the process of transferring people over, because obviously the Twitch views have not even close to caught up to what my previous YouTube stream views were at. That's just kind of how it goes when you switch platforms, is what it is. All that to say, the very first stream on Tuesday, my plan is to get my original Brewmaster Monk leveled from 70 to 80. And then pretty much before my Mythic raid, I'm probably going to stream the entire day. But before I have to stop and raid Mythic, I'm going to get it as geared as possible. And maybe I'll stop early if like I've gotten a lot of progress and I've kind of hit a wall where I need to enter Mythic Plus or something and I'm just really tired and want to do something else. But that's the goal. 70 to 80 on my old main Brewmaster, on my original account, and then get as much gear. And then the idea behind that is I would continue to stream that process over time, over like, you know, the next week or so. And once I've finalized that, I can make a catch-up gearing guide for, you know, getting ready for 11.1, and the timing would be perfect because by the point in which that video would be ready, it would be like only a few weeks most likely before 11.1's out. So then all the people resubbing, getting ready for the Undermine patch, which looks like it'll be pretty cool, all things considered, they will now have this cool, you know, catch-up gearing guide, which is something that I did a lot in Dragonflight and people enjoyed. And it would be nice to have another one out there. So that would work perfectly. That's one of the things that I plan on doing, and that's going to be the very first thing that I do. It's the first stream when I get my account back. We're going to start. We're going to level up the character because it takes like literally an hour and a half, right, to get from 70 to 80. I don't think I'm going to be able to get sub 1 hour on that character. The mythical sub 1 hour run is theoretically obtainable with like perfect stuff, but I don't think it's going to be realistically achievable on that character in particular, just because there's going to be a lot of stuff that I haven't had set up, and if I'm doing it live on stream, I won't be able to play around like Dream Surge RNG. But it should definitely be very fast, so that should be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that, and I'm also looking forward to having my original Brewmaster, Larice, back, because I've had to play on different monks for the past 6 months, and, you know, I enjoy my new characters, but nothing matches the feel of playing your original main that you've mained for multiple tiers over and over and over. So that'll be cool. And that will be, like I said, streamed intermittently over the next few weeks. But in addition to that main Brewmaster leveling stream, there's going to be a few other things that I'm going to intersperse in the days throughout the week. So, as I said, I'm going to try to stream basically every single day. And my phone just beeped, sorry. I'm not going to try and edit that out. But one of the other main things, biggest goals that I have is, I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, if not, around the time that my account got banned, I was in the process of doing a Cataclysm Classic Prot Warrior speedrun from 1 to 80, and I got all the way up to what would have been the final part of that run. I think I got the character to level 68, and then it would have been just Northrend left, so 68 to 80. And then, literally like the day before I was going to record that last section, the account got banned. That character has been inaccessible for 6 months, and I've had people leaving comments in the video saying, like, where is the final part? So I want to record the final part. Even though that video didn't do quite as well, or that entire streaming process of that character didn't do quite as well as some of the other streams, it has actually performed well in the recordings. So I think it would be mildly interesting to revisit that. It's unfortunate because I did have a lot of plans in Cataclysm Classic to do a lot of leveling speedruns. I thought the idea was interesting, and it's kind of one of those things where my interest in that never really went away, but I had spent a lot of time throughout like Wrath Classic basically preparing supplies and items that would be used for those runs, and that Prot Warrior run was meant to be like the very first test drive of it, and then I couldn't even finish that initial test, so it kind of took all of the wind out of my sails of doing future tests. I didn't want to do all of that process of rebuilding it on my second account. It's like by the time that I was ready and I got that set up, and you know, Cataclysm theoretically would have been over by like February. Now it's technically been pushed out a little bit, but at this stage, I don't really plan on doing further leveling stuff for Cataclysm Classic because why bother? But I will be doing a lot of speed leveling stuff for MoP Classic. Not going to be doing that right now, but, you know, something to look forward to. We'll finish this Cataclysm run, and then that'll give us a framework to work with. I, of course, remember the routes that I used to do back in MoP, but it'll jog all of our memories, and that way when I go to the MoP beta, whenever that comes out, and begin doing testing there, you know, that will be cool. I will be able to just jump right into testing there, do some speedruns, and hopefully have a leveling guide whenever that's rolling around. Like, I think it's April, May, something like that. I forget exactly when MoP Classic is launching. So, gonna finish the Warrior run. That's probably not gonna be a single stream. I suspect that entire process, the last 10-ish levels, will take around 10 hours, give or take. So, I expect I'll have to break that up into 2 or 3 streams. I'll maybe do, like, one stream where it's, like, part Cataclysm, part Gearing Retail, etc. But that's gonna happen. We're definitely gonna get that done. And another thing that I want to revisit is my hardcore character. So I had a hardcore druid on the original servers. It's Alliance Undefies Pillager. I got it up to 46, and then I just kind of stopped playing it. It's still alive, and I've been saying for a while that I wanted to revisit it, and I keep meaning to, but it just never found the time, and it's something that I was probably going to do towards the end of this year, but then again, I couldn't finish it. If I had not been banned, one thing that I probably would have done is before the launch of the Classic Anniversary servers, I would have dusted off that character and tried to get to 60 with it in preparation. I couldn't do that, of course. So I'm sure when I stream that, there's going to be some confusion of like, are you on the new Classic Anniversary hardcore servers? And I'm going to be like, no, it's on the old ones. And people will be like, why? I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But ultimately, I want to finish that character. Maybe I only do one stream. Maybe I like die at level 47 or something and the character's over. Is what it is. That's hardcore. But ideally, I really want to make it to level 60. And I have not died yet, ever, on any of the alts that I've made and gotten up to like level 20 something. And this is my first version of the druid. Technically, it's like my third version of the druid, because on the playtests on like the beta and stuff, of hardcore like 2 years ago or something. It's been a while. I played a druid up to level 30, which was the cap at the time, and then obviously kept it at 30 and did some of the like mini endgame things around that point. So I played a bunch of versions of that character, never died on any of those, never died on any of the live server druids, so that's fun. And I would really like to be able to say that I got a hardcore character up to 60, so hopefully that goes well. I'll, mix that into the streaming schedule until the point where that character dies, or I guess I make it to 60, because obviously I'm not going to play it beyond 60, especially since it's on the old servers where I have no interest in doing any progression of the sort, and I'm probably going to be doing like solo questing only. I'm not going to try and do dungeons, especially because these days I doubt there's anyone on the old Defias Pillager server doing leveling dungeons on hardcore. That's probably completely empty now, so it'll just be completely solo questing. And finally, I am going to revisit Season of Discovery. So it's unfortunate that I'm going to be revisiting it like a few weeks after the release of the last phase, because I think the phase is releasing like right around now, and I'm not going to be playing it until like a week. It might have released last week at the time of recording. I forget exactly. Either way, I'll be a little bit late to it, but it doesn't really matter because I don't have a character at max level anyway. The last time I really played Sod was Phase 3. I had my Warlock at level 50. I did Sunken Temple a bunch of times, and then I got bored and stopped playing. I tried to return in Phase 4, and I made a brand new Rogue, but I got burnt out like in the mid-40s and then never finished the Rogue. I'm going to be honest, I was not really enjoying Rogue Tank when I tried to play it. I've heard that it's pretty good at endgame. I actually have a friend in my guild in retail who played Rogue Tank and Sod. I didn't play with him, but he's told me about it, and he showed me his character. And he says it's fun. I believe him, but that's mostly for raid tanking. And I don't really think I'm going to do many Sod raids. If anything, I might pug one or two. Primarily, my interest in Sod is I just kind of want to return to it, see what they've added. I want to do the new dungeons primarily, and just get up to 60, mess around with it. And I think for the purposes of that, I'm just going to play my old Warlock tank, because I have like so much already completed on my Warlock. Basically everything up until level 50, I did all of that stuff. I have it fully completed. So at the very least, the first 3 phases, I won't have any of the catch-up to do. And that character's already like full at level 50 bis, so leveling should be kind of simple. And Warlock tank leveling was a lot of fun, really easy when I played it before, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it again. And dungeon tanking on a Warlock was really strong. I'm pretty sure they're not like the best dungeon tanks, but they are definitely significantly better than rogues. With the build that I played, you have very good AoE threat and very good single target threat, both with the same hybrid dungeon build. I had a lot of fun tanking with that, and I think that should be a fun way to return to Sod. I don't know how much I'm going to play it. I do think it would be fun to just revisit it, give it another shot, because I feel like, based on everything I've read, Sod has come a long way since Phase 3, since I quit, so want to give it another chance. And at the very least, I want to see the new dungeons. So I really want to see Demonfall Canyon, and I want to see Karazhan Crypts, because new content like that is the main reason why I started playing Sod in the first place, and I haven't been terribly interested in the, like, slightly altered raids that they've done at level 60. I've heard it's kind of face roll easy, and there's not much to it, so it never gave me enough motivation to really try it again. But I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff they did with, like, Nomergon. I enjoyed Sunken Temple, a lot of it, more so than most people I know. Sunken Temple had its own list of issues, but I thought it was actually quite fun in many ways. So I've heard Demonfall Canyon's pretty good, and I haven't actually heard anything about Karazhan Crypts, even though I'm pretty sure it's already live. Maybe it's not. But I am very much looking forward to trying it, because obviously it's a very iconic place in World of Warcraft history, at least in the community history, not necessarily in the lore. So I am eager to see what they've done with it. And then they have like the Scarlet Crusade raid coming later on, so that could be cool. Maybe if I end up really liking it, I stick around and try that. And hell, maybe I find Sod to be incredibly fun, and I continue playing it on multiple characters. Probably not, I'm going to be real, because I also don't know how much time I'm going to have within the next week or so, because there's a lot of stuff that or next month or so, I mean, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that I need to do, but we'll see. We'll see. Also, on some days, I will probably also stream raid testing for Undermine, because I do plan on trying to at least pug a bit of raid testing. I'm probably not going to do a ton, and I might even do some of that off stream, depending on the day and like when I wake up on that particular day. But if it happens to align with the day that I already plan on streaming, I'll include that in the stream. But anyways, that covers basically my plans for how I'm going to handle everything. As a reminder, this is going to be on January 28th, and the stream will be sometime early afternoon. Don't want to give an exact time, because again, I don't know exactly how the unban process, or the ban ending process, is going to work, so I don't want to set anything in stone, but that's the goal. And the very first stream will be leveling the Brewmaster and gearing the Brewmaster, and depending on how long that takes until I'm kind of tired of it, I might do some additional stuff on that stream. And then, of course, as always, on Tuesdays, I stream my guild's Mythic Reclear, but that's like much later. That's like midnight Eastern, my time. So for people who always stick around for those or show up for those, that'll still happen, but that won't be until much later. And I'll try to stream every single day that week, and I will try to stream generally more frequently going forward. I'd like to do that. It's just been a bit rough, as I've said, with all of the stuff that's gone on, and it's, yeah, it's been rough. That's really all there is to say about it. It's been rough, and I've spent a lot of time doing other stuff, like PoE. Anyways, I will try to end it here, because this video has already gone on for a very long time, and I think at the very least this might be a slightly shorter version of the original end rambly section, so that maybe will help clean the editing up a bit at the very end of the video for future editor Harldan. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed listening to this for the entire 1.5-ish hours that it played, I would appreciate it if you could throw the video a like. I don't expect us to do super well in the YouTube algorithm, but every little bit counts. And I guess if you aren't already subscribed to my third channel, it helps a little bit. And in case I post another interesting video like this on here that is like relevant, but I don't want to put it on the main channel, then you'll be notified. And even though most of this is just screen recordings, I do sometimes use it for something interesting. It's one of the perks of having multiple ways to post videos. You don't need to worry about the YouTube algorithm fucking you if you post it on the main channel. Anyways, that's it. I'll cut myself off here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next Tuesday. Peace.